So I figured I'd come up today and have a chat. Chat about TFLers, chat about men, chat about our society and the destruction of the family unit and the destruction of relationships between men and women. That's been engineered and programmed and pushed onto society. And I got a variety of things I'm going to talk about when it comes to these areas. So first off, I'm going to say this, okay? What's a meaningful relationship? What is a relationship between a girl and a guy? Okay? What a relationship used to be to what it is nowadays is a complete joke. See, nowadays it's a complete utter joke. It's so messed up it isn't even funny. There's no beginning or end to the insanity that you witness and watch around you. And people wonder why. There's so many divorces. So many people not getting married. Why there would be an outcry, and why there would be men going their own way, and why there would be TFL, and why there would be men's rights activists, and why there'd be feminism, and why there'd be all this and this and this and this. And so many women nowadays who have 2 or 3 kids by different fathers. Every one of their children are by different fathers. And you call this normal. There's nothing normal about this whatsoever. Okay? So let's get into, first off, what is a proper relationship between a man and a woman? How did they do it back in the day when you had married couples? They got married in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s. Some even got married at 20 years old, whatever. But these relationships between this man and woman lasted their entire life. Couples that were together for 30, 40 years and died together. How did they do that? You don't see that in today's society very often at all. You might be up there around where Jerry's at, where he's witnessed it with the Arcadians and blah, 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 okay, and he's putting whatever he sees, and you can make assumptions to how they accomplished it, and you could be doing just that, and your assumptions could be totally skewed because of the programming from today, or you're making guesses. Maybe I would tell people like that up there in Maine around the Arcadians that are witnessing couples that have been together for years upon years upon years, maybe they should sit down and talk to these people and ask them how they've managed to keep themselves together for all these years. How many years you've been together? How did you do it? I wouldn't say make assumptions and this is how they done it, because that's not how they done it. 90% of assumptions are wrong. That would mean you're not willing to sit down and actually talk and ask. And you need to do it with more than one couple. But I'm going to be willing to bet you're going to find out what I'm about to tell you now. A proper relationship starts with meeting one another, having things in common, okay, and becoming friends. Yes, you heard me say becoming friends. Because men and women must become friends before they can become lovers. But see, our today's society has everything skewed. Everything's upside down. Back in the day when relationships lasted for years upon years, getting laid came last, not first. Get that straight. Last, not first. When getting laid becomes priority, number one, the first thing, that contributes to the destruction of the family unit. What you're doing is helping them destroy a long-lasting relationship, is what you're doing. If you're not after a relationship and you're just after sex, that's fine. For men and women alike, that maybe they don't want a meaningful relationship, They just want sex. Go off, do your own thing. I don't care, okay? You're not part of this. But for you men and women who don't want a meaningful relationship, that this is what you want and that's number one to you, you have no say-so when it comes to the majority of the population of men or women who want a meaningful relationship. What comes out your mouth needs to stay shut and zipped, because you cannot give advice to them, because you would be part of the reason the family units broke up. So therefore, you could not give proper advice to them. Because first off, as I just told you, men and women have to be able to become friends. This means you're going to have things in common. This means you're going to become friends. You're going to take the time to get to know one another. This is what a date was originally supposed to be about. Somebody dating somebody. They dated somebody, and there wasn't a number of dates. They may have dated the same person for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Why did they date them all that time before they got together? Because it was about getting to know one another. Seeing if you're compatible. Seeing if you and her have a lot of things in common. It's about individuality. First off, you're yourself and she's herself. It's not about you changing her. It's not about her changing you. What two friends do you know that became good friends or best friends that did that, regardless of what was even the same gender, that did that by dictating what the other person was supposed to think or do? That's not how you become friends. That's how you cause division and why your friendships become short. And you're on to your next friend, short. You're on to your next friend, and why you can't keep any friends? That'd be why. Yep, that'd be why. Because you can't think somebody else has to think like you, that they have to feel like you, that they have to act like you. See, social conditioning in the engineering has told us what we're supposed to think, what we're supposed to feel, and how we're supposed to act. Eliminating individuality. Assumptions has allowed you to stick your big foot in your mouth because you feel a certain way about something and you do something doesn't mean, and even the clique you may be running with feel the same way and act the same way, doesn't mean that's how the whole world acts. And they're not nuts for acting different than you. They're their own self, their own individual. If you say they're nuts or they're sick or they're nuts, then obviously you're every bit as sick and nuts as them. And if you think, no, I'm not because I'm right, no, you have the elite mentality. That's right. And so you should never speak out against the corruption by the powers to be at the top, because you have the same mentality they do to think you need to dictate other people. Okay? That's where I come from with that, okay? So, but in a meaningful relationship, one's going to last for years. It's going to come from first dating, going back to what dating originally was, getting to know one another. If you're not compatible, that's what dating was about. She moves on and you move on, and you meet the next person who you date, or who she dates, and it's the same thing all over again. When the compatibility is there, then you'll see each other more often, you go out and do things together more often, you'll make her laugh, she'll make you laugh, she'll make you laugh, you'll make her laugh, and so on. You'll have good communication. Good communication. You won't be hiding things from each other, and they will get to know you for who you really are. You'll get to know them for who they really are. And in time, by doing this, feelings can become mutual for both, and you could actually really fall in love. That's real love. If you got a good friendship that leads to a strong relationship, because the friendship is the relationship. Also, communication, expressing your feelings and not hiding your feelings, and respecting one another's feelings without trying to dictate one another. Our society, in the world I'm living in now, fails in all of these areas miserably. Then you wonder why nobody stays together. How could they stay together? There's no way they could make it. Because either he wants to be her boss or she wants to be his boss. There is no bosses. It's liking somebody for who they are. And that's not a gender issue whatsoever. You have to like her for her, and she has to like you for you. If you think you're going to change something about her, you don't belong with her. If she thinks she's going to change something about you, she don't belong with you. You're not for each other. Because it's not about changing each other. It's about loving each other for who each other is. And you can only do that when you can become friends first, get to know one another. That's what dating's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about getting your dick in a hole or getting your hole filled with one. See, best to both genders. Dating was never about getting laid. Ever. Destruction of the family unit. That was one of the very first tools they used. They took what came last in the relationship and put it to the first. That's right. And then they over-sexualized our society and got you right where you're at. And so, even with TFLers, true TFLers, are struggling and can't get a date for the life of them because our society's been so engineered that most women in 1 to 5 seconds they already know they don't want to know you. And no, you should not have to play a game and chase them and chase them. No. And if you're going to say, well, you got to play the game, you're part of the problem. Because another human being's emotions and feeling is not a game to be played or toyed with. This is the other thing that they've done throughout our society, and they've done it with everything. Put game into everything, game into everything. Everything's a sport, an arena, a challenge. One-upping somebody else. Walking over the top of somebody else. Stepping on somebody else. Dumping on somebody else. Doing on to somebody else that you'd never want done on yourself. That's not the definition of being grown up. That's the definition of being a fool. But what can I do? I'm not the one that created this mess. But if you want a meaningful relationship, it starts where I told you. And I know there's a lot of TFLers out here I already know for factual fact. It's not about getting laid. Sure, they want sex, but they're willing to wait to the last. Because their most important thing is that companionship. And you say, why do you want that? Because they want that good friend. They want that somebody to wake up next to in the morning and to be able to go out in this world and do things with. To fall in love with. That'll be there for them. And that they'll be there for them. Nobody, and I don't care who you are, always agrees. And in a strong relationship that lasted for any amount of years, you have to work out whatever system works best for you. One of the things that I've told people, I've always given advice is, you don't always agree upon a topic, so you and her together, you're in love with each other, you're only going to keep that love if you keep the bond. The bond is open communication, suppressing your feelings, never hiding your feelings, don't suppress your feelings down, talk about each other's feelings, respect each other's feelings, and do not try to change one another's feelings. That's how you will keep the love that you establish through that. In doing so, you have disagreements along the way, which everybody does. So, one time, you disagree upon a topic. So the guy gives in and you do it her way. But the next time there's a disagreement upon a topic, she gives in and we do it the guy's way. And then the next time there's one, he gives in and we do it her way. It's called compromise. It's called working together. Something else people fail at doing in today's society. See, it wasn't just feminism. No. That was only one tool of the destruction of the family unit and relationships between women and men. If you're a guy, you sit at home and you're a TFLer, and all you do is sit at home and hit your bong and get high, that's all you do every day, and you're sitting online and you're just getting high and sitting online and just getting high and sitting high. You're self-produced. You're a TFLer because of your own behavior. You have to get out there in the real world and meet people to change that. But then on the other hand, when you get out there in the real world and start meeting people, in today's society, people's brains, I'm sorry. So the engineering of society is, they have been so successful on the biggest divide. The biggest divide on the face of the planet is men and women. And they have been so successful that it's come down to the point of the majority of true TFLers, not self-produced. Self-produced is that guy sitting at home in on the bong, ain't got time to go out and complain and he can't get a girl. He's his own worst enemy. It's his own fault. Okay, it's the end of story. That's the way that goes. If your excuse to not leave your house, whatever your excuse is, it's because you created the problem for yourself. You have nobody to blame but yourself. Go look in the mirror. But for the true TFLers, these are the guys that listen to their friends, that listen to their parents, that took advice from their friends. They go out and, we're living the real world every day. They hold a job down every day. They're not stuck in front of a computer. They're in the real world every day. They go out on weekends and party and what have you and do what everybody else is doing and get together, right? And these guys are taking advice of other people and doing everything that they perceive as right, but they're not willing to totally change themselves. And no, you should not change yourself. I don't care what guy or what girl tells a guy or what guy tells you you have to change yourself. They do not know what they are talking about or doing. They are part of the destruction of the family unit. Because what did I say? It's about liking somebody for who they are, not who you want them to be. If they have to be who you want them to be, then you're no better than the elite. You're just as sick and just as twisted as the people at the top that you're speaking up against. You're every bit as bad as them because you're practicing dictatorship onto somebody else upon your own thoughts and feelings. You don't have a right to do that. So zip it. So what I'm getting to here is simple. The guys go out here that are true TFLers. The social engineering has screwed up both genders so bad. Guys using the girl for a piece of meat. Girls using the guy for an ATM. And the list of what we're doing on each other, using each other, abusing each other, just goes on and on and on. That should not be happening. And when this TFLer, the true TFLer, he does everything that he's told to do and he's holding down a job and he's doing everything right and he's just being himself and he approaches the female and he's rejected in 1 to 5 seconds. You say, nope, that's when you keep chasing her. So he keeps chasing her, and then he goes to jail. Or the white nights, the girl goes over and tells her buddies, and they go over and beat his ass. She said, no. What part of no don't you understand? This happens all the time. And what does everybody do about it? That's right. That's what everybody does about it. It's exactly what everybody does about it. Okay? And this is no lie. This is fact. This is why I use the wording of the true TFLer climbs up, gets back up from being knocked out. Climbs back up the ladder. And you push them over again. They get back from being knocked down, climbs back up the ladder, you push them down again. Because every time they approach a woman, time in, time out, time in, and time out. 1 to 5 seconds, 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 1 to 5 seconds. The 80-20 rule isn't a lie. It's factual. And it happens that quick. The woman looks at him. She images him. She rejects him. He's not got on a Rolex watch. He's not wearing what she perceives she's looking for. Or his facial looks isn't what she's looking for. Many, many, many different reasons. Okay? I mean, she never took the time to ever get to know him. Ever. Ever. Now of his image, she sits back in the bar or at the club and she watches guys and she watches the guys before they hit on her. And she sees the guy that's over here being a bad boy, Johnny Cool. And he's out to impress the women and he's doing all this behavior stuff to impress the women. And that's who she's chasing. So when the other guy comes along that's not being putting on a fraudulent image and he's just being himself, he's the guy they reject in 1 to 5 seconds. Over and over and over. Social engineered. All of this is social engineering. And what do we do as a population? We blame him that it's his fault. That he has to change himself. No, he don't. Do you follow what I'm saying? No, he don't. You're all acting on social engineering. All of you. You want him to think with that one hive mind. And if he's thinking with his own mind as an individual human being, you're ridiculing him for that. Do we see anybody stand up for the man? No. Do we see people stand up for women? Oh, yes, all the time. All the time. Okay? Do we see anybody stand up for men? Well, I said, no, you don't. What do men do unto men? They throw them under the bus. They tell them how they're supposed to think and how they're supposed to act. They become one of the elite at the top. They become a Jew. They become a banker. They become one of the elite. They become the scum that's destroyed our world. And they start dictating to this person because they're not thinking with the all-hive mind. They start dictating to this person that he's supposed to change who he is. Then you wonder what happened to the family unit, huh? Then you wonder why relationships don't last no more, huh? Never mind, I know that's above most of your IQs. Most of you people couldn't reach this if you tried. Because you're too busy using the all-hive mind. You're not stopping to think about these people are all human beings, men and women alike. Men and women alike both have emotions and feelings, wants and needs. And we are not all the same. No, because you like this and think this way, and your 10 friends over like that and think the same way. And the next 20 guys over here don't like that and don't think that way. You get into a fight with each other because you're busy trying to dictate each other. You're busy acting like the people at the top, the elite. And you're too naive to see it. You're too blind to see it. You know, TFL was created because you allowed yourself to be in a situation because you didn't change your behavior. In other words, you didn't be yourself. What's wrong with that picture? Oh, that's right. She could be herself. Because when was the last time you heard the woman she's supposed to change herself? Come on, guys. Come on, ladies. When's the last time somebody's told you you had to change yourself? And I'm not saying this don't happen to women because it does. Oh, yes, it does. There's men who do this. And I'll tell you what, ladies. If the guy tells you have to change yourself, show him this. I'm serious. Ladies, if a guy tells you you need to change this about yourself, you show him this. And men, if the woman says you have to change this about yourself, show him this. If another guy tells you you have to change something about yourself, show him this. Because they clearly don't know what the hell they're doing, let alone talking about it. To create a long-lasting relationship between a man and a woman is so simple. And sex is never, ever, ever number one. That's why I told you at the beginning of the video for you men and you women. That's all. Take it laid, huh? That's all it's about to you. You're in your own group. You're over here. You don't belong giving advice to no TFLer, to no MRR, to anybody, except for guys or girls who think the way you think, that thinks that sex is number one. You come over here and have your own community. I'm not going to fault you for your behavior, but you're sure to hell not going to fault me for mine. Okay? And if I'm a white knight for men, you're damn right. I'll be proudly take that label. And why do I proudly take that label? Because I don't see anybody else standing up for men. I see thousands and thousands of movies and sitcoms all dedicated to male bashing, male bashing, male bashing, male bashing, male bashing. I look around me in society and I watch man throwing man under the bus, man dumping on man, man punching man. What's the one thing women like to watch? Is two guys get into a confrontation and fight each other. What do I see? Everywhere I look. Men throwing each other under the bus trying to prove they're more of a man. They're not more of a man. They failed at the one thing that mankind's failed at from the very beginning. They failed to grow the fuck up. That's not the definition of a man. That's not the definition of a adult. That's the definition of somebody who's failed to grow up. Complete failure. Never grew up. You still have that child mentality. If you don't like what I just said, guess what? I don't care. I honestly do not care. Because when I look around me, I don't see thousands of sitcoms and movies dedicated to female bashing, female bashing, female bashing, female bashing. When I look around me, I don't see women not standing up for each other when something's wrong. I see women standing together and standing up for something wrong. Yes, the women get in their cat fights like any human gets in a fight. They don't always agree. Nobody always agrees. Okay? But I don't see that. You couldn't even show me that if you tried because it don't exist. But when it comes to men, and you really open your eyes and look, men are throwing men under the bus. Men are not only throwing men under the bus, okay, there's women out here who are getting their rocks off and watching two men fight, and these men will kill each other just with a smile on her face. Disgusting. Sick, childish behavior on them two men's part and hers. I excuse none of you. Because her entertainment's watching two guys beat the shit out of each other. You're two complete dumbass fools. And she's a dumbass fool. That's my answer to you. Don't like what I said? I don't care. It's the facts. The epic failure of mankind to grow the hell up. You know, and true TFLers, you know, when they keep getting pushed off the ladder, that's why I use that. Rejected in 1 to 5 seconds, and this goes on and on and on and on and on and on. All because they're being themselves, their own self. And you didn't have time to get to know them because you wouldn't give them the time of day because you looked at them in 1 to 5 seconds. You already knew they were no good. You didn't know they were not no good. You're going by the programming. You're going by the conditioning that's been put into you. And you rejected them out of that. And you're going to continue to reject them, guys. And you don't care. That's why the 80-20 is actually real. And all of you men that ain't part of that 80-20 that are struggling to get a date, you become part of the problem. You throw them under a bus and blame them for what they didn't do to themselves. For what the people at the top done to all of us. You blame them for it. Tell them it's their fault. Like the disgusting person you are. Because it's not their fault. Then you tell them they don't become traumatized by it because all they got to do is just forget it and go on with their life and move on. So to all of you guys out there that tell some other guy that, just forget it. They've been traumatized by it. To forget it and just move on with their life. Well, then you forget ever getting laid and move on with your life. You don't need a woman either. Well, yes, I do. It's all about getting laid. No, it isn't. There's a reason sex was last on the list. How do you think that people had successful relations for years and years and years? Because sex was last on the list, not first. It wasn't deliberately taken from the last on the list and put up first for a good, strong family unit. It was done that way to help destroy the family unit, to destroy relationships, and that's exactly what it's done. You would be surprised how many real TFLers have been rejected over and over and over through no fault of their own. They're out there in the workplace every day doing everything they can and have been rejected over and over and over in 1 to 5 seconds and through no fault of their own. They only want to meet one woman and not to get laid. It's not about getting laid at all. Yes, they want sex, but they're grown up enough to realize that that can come last. Because what's most important to them isn't that 2-second thrill of ejaculating in her. It's about that meaningful companionship, that friendship, that bond. To have that somebody you can go everywhere with, do everything with, that makes you laugh, that you make them laugh, that friend. That you can wake up in the morning and give a big hug to, and they give you a big hug and a kiss. That you're there for each other. Then you could have sex and have children and raise a family, and children could have mom and a dad, mom and a dad, mom and a dad, mom and a dad. I had to keep saying that because we don't see that in today's society. We see so many children that have no dad. We see so many children that, hell, they're half brothers and half sisters because mom's been with that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. And y'all want to deny it and still keep sticking up for the wrong behavior. That broke us all up. So that's really what I wanted to get out and say today. That's the reason I've done this video. Okay? Meaningful relationship. True TFLers, there's so many of them. I've talked to them. I know for a fact that they only want one woman. They're looking for that companionship. To be with that one woman. That companionship. And they're denied it. And denied it. And denied it. And denied it. And told it's their own fault for being themselves. That they wasn't allowed to be themselves. That they had to change themselves. But you never heard anybody say that a woman in society and social conditioning say a woman had to change anything about herself. It was the guy's job to do the approaching. It was the guy's job to do the impressing. And the guys that are getting the girls are the ones that's doing the impressing. And they're doing the impressing by being phony and fake and not being themselves. So they can put their, you know what, and do this. And they're going on to their next. And they're calling that being a man. And they're calling the more times they do this with, the more women they do this with, it makes them a better man. No, it doesn't. It makes them a slut. It makes them a parasite. It confirms they don't know what they're doing. That's all it does. That's a confirmation that you don't know what you're doing, even though you think you know what you're doing. Just like the women. The 80-20 rule. You rejected them in 1 to 5 seconds. You never saw them in their life. They were appropriately dressed. They were polite and nice to you. And you was evil to them. For no reason. Other than they didn't fit the image the society gave you. And of course, this does not apply to all women either. Nor does it apply to all men. I better say that again, because I've said this thousands of times in the past, but people like to play selective hearing and hear only what they want to hear. Or blow off what you say. So they can skill it and manipulate it and twist it and turn it. And the people who want to take my words and skew it and twist it, manipulate it and turn it, you're parasites. You are the problem. You are one of the major problems. The biggest divide on the face of this earth is the genders. There's no two ifs, ands about it, and you can't get it around it, you don't even try. Because it's the fact. So when you say you know about the strategy of divide and conquer, obviously you don't. Just because you say you do doesn't mean you do. Because then you'd understand the biggest divide on the face of the earth is men and women, the genders, the destruction of the family unit. Then you would understand why it would be so critical to bring the family women back together, men and women back together again. But how can you do that when you took sex and put it at the front of the list? Honestly, how could you do that? How could you get children to have the same mom and dad to raise them? Honestly, have you looked around you? Do you see all the numbers and numbers of women that have 2, 3 children, 4 children, all by different dads? Do you know that number is constantly growing? And of course, it don't apply to every single woman, so don't get me wrong here. But if you look around, you open your eyes and be honest, and stop doing when you stop doing that and use these eyeballs, then you'll see and understand what I'm talking about. I guess that's about all I got to say. Have a good one.